right now. There's a lot of, Easter eggs in there in terms of verbiage and words said. So I'm feeling like there's going to be a deal. And Kirkland Ellis rep literally said it. Yeah, I think we can wrap up a deal, Judge.
Yeah.
And, so if that be the case and we're going green right now, and then there is an announcement of some sort, that'll play to our favor as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the shorts can continue. They tried today. I think they took off about 600,000 or 700,000 off the shares to be borrowed.
Right.
So
yeah, looks like AJ is actually in the chat here, ABC.
No
so
way.
why don't we bring him in? AJ, we went ahead and sent you a link. AJ is backstage. Let's go ahead and bring AJ on, man.
Hey,
AJ, what's going on?
Can you hear me?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you guys.
We've been trying to get you on the show ever since we last saw you, but a lot of people, man, have requested to see you again, man.
I'm really glad to hear it. I'm really glad to hear it because at the time when I joined, you guys were in a state of panic, worry, and I wanted to shed some light.
PP's never panicked, man.
Just the general feeling out there.
Yeah.
I do have some new thoughts that I was hoping to share with you guys today. Yeah. And I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No, please do. I'm going to use the bathroom real quick. You go ahead and make yourself comfortable with ABC. I'll be back in 1 second.
Awesome. So, it's pretty crazy to think that it's only been a week since I was last on the stream. We honestly didn't have to wait long to see many of the predictions I had manifest. So, it turns out dilution probably isn't as severe as we thought it was. Turns out RC may still be an interested party after all. Looks like more bonds are being purchased. And honestly, I'm happy to see some of the sentiment surrounding SUGov and the board seem to be improving. So I hope I've earned a little bit of credibility.
Dude, you were like totally requested thereafter in all the forums and Discord and everything, man. You got to understand, you are power to the player, man. You've got a place.
Yeah, and I want to leverage that, and I want to make a few points. So I want to leverage this newfound credibility. So this morning, Jerome Powell, he raised the interest rates once again by another 25 basis points. Yep. And keep in mind, this comes at a time where banks are actually collapsing, right? So we all saw what happened to Credit Suisse, who hot potatoed all their liabilities onto UBS before going under. Silvergate, Silicon Valley Bank, FRC, they all went down. Pacific Western Bank just crashed today after hours by 58%. Charles Schwab took a hit. So what's developing through this banking contagion is beginning. It's the beginning of what's called a credit crunch, right? So where you have these lenders that are more hesitant about providing liquidity and making risky bets, and people are generally being more cautious about their investment strategy. But large institutions, like Citadel, and we're going to talk about Citadel in a minute, if you don't mind me hijacking just a few minutes of your show. So large financial institutions, and these are the guys who have heavy bags, right? They're desperate to make sure that markets continue to have lots of liquidity, lots of confidence, optimism. So you have these investment managers that have been flooding TV for the past few months, trying to get people to believe that, each rate hike that Jerome Powell does would be the last one. And we're on our merry way to another bull run, another bull market. But each and every time, Jerome Powell actually continues to just raise the interest rates. He tells you, fuck your calls, we're going to continue. And now we're sitting at 5%, which is the highest it's been since 2007. So the situation we're in is making the likelihood of a recession in the third quarter this year very high. Okay, so why is this important for us, BBBY holders? Because short hedge funds have not closed their open short positions, So
it's causing these banks to fail, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And you have these hired shills that are trying to convince you that short hedge funds are swimming in cash. They say, oh, well, they brought the price down from $30 to a nickel. But just remember, these are all paper profits. Anyone with a trading account can tell you that money's not real until you close those positions. So we have, even last year, Citadel being cited as the most profitable hedge fund in 2022, and it defied everyone's expectations. They beat every single market participant in some miraculous way. But I always wondered, if they were so damn profitable, why did Ken Griffin take out not one but two loans last year? And most recent one was last August. It was worth $600 million, and he claimed that it was to handle this extra volatility. Um, and I
Oh
think
yeah,
it
I
was,
totally forgot about that.
yeah,
That
and
600 million.
And a
Yeah.
1 billion as well.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and this is the guy who supposedly was the most profitable hedge fund in the entire year. Why
On
taking
paper, he is.
on paper? Exactly.
On
That's where I'm going
paper,
with it. So
right?
exactly, like the game's not over, right? Their
Yeah.
positions are costing them every day. So today's interest hike is only making it more expensive for them to continue this charade.
Mhm.
And for them to maintain these huge liabilities. Look, they have to they have to put some of their other holdings on as collateral to their lenders, right? Remember, these hedge funds, they do hold other stocks. What happens typically in a recession, which is what we're heading towards, is that you get a huge downturn in equity valuations. So lots of these companies that people have been trading, like Nvidia and Microsoft and Tesla, these are all going to see a price decline, and the value of their collateral is going to take a huge hit. So when you take this fact,
Mhm.
with the increase in the federal interest rates, with the increase in borrowing costs, an economic slowdown, an ever growing short position, what this tells me is that there's going to be margin calls due very soon, right? And so that's the first point I wanted to make for you guys today.
Mhm.
And so with that, macroeconomic context in mind, like I stated last time I was on your show, I really believe that the OTC market has been where RC ultimately wanted to take BBBY.
It kind of seems like it, right? Because like there's no rerouting now, which is a very, very important thing. I mean, that's the whole reason we never had price discovery, was because people were buying like hell, man. You saw the volumes almost reach 1 billion in volumes, and the stock just kept going down, man. So
Yeah,
yeah,
every day was
it's
another 10
odd.
or 20% hit.
Yeah.
And we all know that what do they call it? A 363 sale in Chapter 11. It gives them this quick, easy way to acquire a company, right? Free of any creditor lines, claims, resistance. So by using the short hedge funds algorithms against them, he puts us all in this Wild West situation we're in today. And I already mentioned before that I believe this low liquidity environment is one of the advantages of being in the OTC, right? In terms of price action, especially for diamond hand apes. But I also, what I didn't mention last time, which I wanted to come on the show to mention this time, is that another benefit of OTC is actually decentralization. So think about the first major initiative that RC took when he became chairman of GME, right? He launched GameStop NFT, and the marketplace, and he started collaborating with people in the blockchain industry, Loopring and whatnot, and they developed a crypto wallet. So the point I'm trying to make is that RC understands the power of decentralization, where you limit the influence of centralized entities, and especially on major exchanges like the Nasdaq. So what was the point I'm trying to make? Market makers like Ken Griffin, they've been able to profit simultaneously off manipulating markets through the dark pools and other bullshit. But and somehow in the U.S., they don't see a conflict of interest when you have a market maker that operate a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund. But the point is that they had centralized control over the order flow on the Nasdaq, right? So most household investors, retail, we use Robinhood. I know a lot of people have moved since GameStop squeezed. They moved their investments to other, but to be honest, the vast majority are still continuing to use Robinhood, which uses the payment for order flow system, and that routes buy and sell orders to Citadel, and you know the story. So when Bed Bath and Beyond shifted to OTC, the order flow became decentralized, right? So the OTC is a decentralized market. You don't have a market maker. Orders are facilitated by dealers that act as market makers instead. They work between two parties at the same time, and that's why we're seeing today delays, and we're seeing different tickers, different prices on different platforms for the same ticker. And and it's also one of the reasons why you can't trade OTC on Robinhood. So not only did we decentralize the order flow, but we also crippled their ability to fuck with the supply and demand, right? We made it much more difficult and risky for them to continue shorting the stock. So, I'm really happy that we saw the stock pump higher today, and it hasn't done this in a long while. And it was actually able to hold its value, which is really miraculous. It felt natural. It felt a little more organic. And keep in mind, today's pump, it happened when the vast majority have already had their buy buttons turned off. I
Yeah, no,
remember
it's fucking insane.
it's crazy.
Let me just say this real quick. We had Type O Neg with a gifted membership, and we had a 550 from Michael David. Appreciate the tip, man. We had a guy also tip, I think, $5 and said he's shorting. Curious if it's gonna go to $2. Man, if it goes to $2, you might get liquidated. Ace Ventura with the 5 gifted memberships. Holy fucking cow, man. And then I think Typo gifted another membership. Wow, thank you guys so much, man. Thank you for the fucking love, man.
Support the show, guys, because we don't really have a platform to talk about this. We don't have a think tank until PP showed
Yeah.
up. So we need you guys to continue supporting the show. I love the show.
I'm so glad you do, man.
I love it. I've been watching it for a long time, and I continue to watch it for a long time, and always going to be around. So
Awesome.
I'm just not gonna, I'm not gonna be a regular. But when I feel like I have something important to say,
Yeah.
I'll hop on.
Yeah, we'll have to get your socials or something, man, to
Of
keep in
course.
contact. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I'll DM you on Reddit.
cool.
So given the circumstances that we're in
Mhm.
this liquid market that we find ourselves in,
Right.
I think this is just my opinion that we're going to look back to today as day one of Bed Bath and Beyond short squeeze, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to see drops, but I think what we're seeing now are short hedge funds trying very cautiously to close their positions without making too much noise. Right?
You think
It's
so?
yeah, it's kind of like crossing a room full of sleeping zombies, right? But
Mm.
like every zombie movie we ever see, you can't be quiet for too long,
Right.
especially when a fucking acquisition is imminent. So I just want to talk a little bit about price targets too, because man, I'm worried people are going to paper hand too soon. So we've been conditioned to this anxiety. It's so rare for us to see the stock go up. So
Yeah,
whenever
I
we see,
know, man.
yeah, whenever we see a pump like 10-20%,
Mhm.
people start thinking about selling. It's like the first thing that comes to their mind. But remember, guys, we have the upper hand. Okay, this is the last chapter. If this stock is actually oversold by several orders of magnitude, that means that they need every single share that's owned by retail, okay, to close their positions. They need every one of your shares. And if you have Bed Bath and Beyond in your portfolio, they need those shares. So when you ask me personally, what's my price target? In my view, it technically should keep increasing until the very last retail holder is satisfied. And this is where diamond hands becomes very, very important,
Right.
because there's never been a more critical time throughout this whole play to hold your fucking shares.
Yeah.
And not financial advice, but whatever you think they should be worth, I need you to multiply that number by 10. Okay, we've
Jesus
seen
Christ, AJ.
He's
What if
not
mine's
being
1,000?
unrealistic.
I'm
He's not.
I'm not crazy. Okay, this
Holy
is
shit, man.
what we're seeing today is an extremely unique situation,
Mm.
and it's going to be a defining moment in market history.
Mm.
So don't sell yourself too short. No pun intended. We've seen we've actually seen single shares of GME sell in the after hours over the past few years for like $18,000 a share, right? Over, like,
Jesus
it doesn't happen
Christ.
often, but every now and then they claim it's a glitch. But you do see shares sell for extravagant prices. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that's where Bed Bath and Beyond is going, but what I am saying is that they're going to need your shares, and they don't have that much time to negotiate with you. And
Right.
42069 is absolutely not a meme. And to get there and beyond, we
Jesus.
just need to hold.
Mm.
The buy pressure is coming without retail's help.
Mm-hmm.
Robinhood, buy buttons off. Revolt,
Mm-hmm.
buy buttons off. The
Mm-hmm.
vast majority of exchanges outside the United States and Canada have their buy buttons off right now. So that's just how I understand things currently. in the future, we're going to look back to today and we're going to say, wow, that was the beginning of the squeeze. I also want to update you guys that if you followed my last time I told you guys I was going to buy on May 2nd before we make the leap on onto OTC.
Bless you. How did that go?
I'm so glad I did.
Can you not buy